What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sick Eric Tech, and today I guess we're going to be doing a full comparison, spec comparison between the Motorola Edge 2022 and the LG Velvet. We're going to be comparing the specs, putting them together side by side, letting you guys determine which one you still might want to pick up. The LG Velvet, still a fantastic device despite being older. It's still a very affordable, very cheap device compared to a lot of other devices that come out today. And the Motorola Edge, a fantastic newcomer in the game, and still a fantastic device. Both of them are great. Let's go ahead and go on over to specs. Before we do, subscribe, like, and share, and do all the other stuff. Come on, guys. So going on over to dimensions. The Motorola Edge comes in at about 6.33 inches tall, 2.94 wide, and 0.31 inches thick. While over here on the LG Velvet is 6.58 inches tall, 2.92 inches wide, and 0.31 inches thin. So both of them very thin devices, very lightweight, and very nice looking as far as the dimensions go. They look very nice with their premium builds. The Motorola Edge has a glass front, plastic frame, and a plastic back with a water repellent design. No official IP ratings on the Motorola Edge. It comes in at about 6.00 ounces, while over here on the LG Velvet it has a glass front and a glass back with an aluminum frame. It does support IP68 water and dust resistant with a MIL STD-A10G compliant. Drop resistance, again, it does not guarantee ruggedness or anything like that, so don't go throwing your phone at somebody. You may survive it, but the person won't. Going on over to the displays, the Motorola Edge has an OLED 1 billion color 144 inch HDR10 plus 6.6 inches of greatness on the Motorola Edge. It has a resolution of 1080 by 2400 with 399 pixels per inch. A fantastic display, definitely an upgrade for Motorola devices with that OLED at 144 hertz. Going on over to the LG Velvet, it is a POLED 6.8 inches, and it does have a resolution of 1080 by 2460 at 395 pixels per inch. Unfortunately, there is no high refresh rate on the LG Velvet. The LG Velvet does have a curved display with some pretty beefy bezels on the top and on the bottom with a notch cut out. While over here on the Motorola Edge, decent bezels, no curve, and it does have a center hole punch cutout. And both the displays are fantastic, despite being only 1080p. And despite only having 60 hertz on the Velvet, a lot of people prefer the displays on LG devices just because they are true to color and they just look very vibrant and very nice. And they're both large displays and they're both very nice. So both of these devices do have in-display fingerprint sensors. They are both optical. The LG Velvet does not have any sort of facial recognition, which is the downfall compared to the Motorola Edge. And the LG Velvet also does have an always on display with a bunch of different shortcuts and toggles for your always on display, and very customizable as far as clocks go on the LG Velvet. As the Motorola Edge goes, it does have an in-display optical fingerprint sensor, and it definitely seems to be a little bit faster than the LG Velvet. And you also get facial recognition on the Motorola Edge. There is no always on display, there is only a peak display, but you can long press on each notification to give you more options for responding to your notifications and seeing your notifications on the peak display, but no always on display on the Motorola Edge. Going on over to the platform, the LG Velvet is running Android 12. Finally has recently gotten an Android 12 update. It's got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G and it does have the Adreno 620 GPU, 6 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of storage. There is an 8 gigabyte model for the LG Velvet. It does have UFS 2.1 storage, and it is expandable memory with a micro SD card slot. So fantastic. Not a lot of devices have micro SD cards. Going on over to the Motorola Edge, you do get Android 12 as well. Planned upgrade to Android 13. You get a Dimensity MediaTek 1050 chipset. And as far as GPU wise goes, you get an ARM Mali G610 MC3. No micro SD card slot. You do get 8 gigabytes of RAM and double the storage at 256. So that's fantastic for the Motorola Edge. But as far as expandability goes, the LG Velvet does come in ahead with that micro SD card slot. And as far as performance goes, they're both really good. The Motorola Edge is going to be a little bit more snappier with that high refresh rate and a little bit more processing power. But the LG Velvet may not be as fast and snappy, but it will get a lot done and it will keep on going with no throttling and no holdback. So that's the good thing about LG is they're just like the Energizer Bunny. They just keep going and going. Going on to the cameras, the Motorola Edge has a main sensor that is 50 megapixels, and it does support multi-directional PDAF and optical image stabilization. You get a 13 megapixel camera with an aperture of f1.5, 120 degree field of view ultra wide. You also get a 2 megapixel aperture of f2.4 depth sensor, and these cameras do support 4K 30 frames per second on the rear. And as far as the front facing camera goes, it is a 32 megapixel aperture of f2.5. It does support HDR, but it caps out at 1080p 30 frames per second. Going on over to the LG Velvet, you get a 48 megapixel main sensor, aperture of f1.8. It does support PDAF, and you get an 8 megapixel aperture of f2.2 ultra wide, again 120 degree field of view. And lastly, you get a 5 megapixel f2.4 depth sensor. It does support 4K on the front and on the back of the LG Velvet. The front facing camera is going to be a 16 megapixel aperture of f1.9, and that does support HDR as well. Both of these cameras are going to be really well. A lot of people are probably going to choose the LG Velvet just for the natural photos that it takes and the video. It's going to continue taking video. A lot of phones these days crap out after a few minutes of recording in heat. Well, LG devices keep on going. The cameras on the Velvet, they're not as good as, say, the LG V60, but they're still going to get the job done, and they're still really good. But Motorola is no slouch either. They definitely upgraded their cameras on their devices, and they're both really good when taking pictures. They both will suffer in low light, so keep that in mind. As far as audio goes, they both have stereo speakers. The Motorola Edge does support Dolby Atmos, and you're going to get a lot more different options when it comes on audio, but you're also going to get LG's 3D surround on 3D sound engine on their device as well. Again, stereo speakers, although the LG Velvet is going to give you a headphone jack, and that's a lot of things that a lot of devices aren't including these days. Both of them sound really well. They're both very loud and will get loud enough that way you could listen to your music outdoors and watch videos, and you won't have no issues using these devices and listening to them. Bluetooth goes, the Motorola Edge does come with Bluetooth 5.2, while the LG Velvet comes with Bluetooth 5.1. As far as batteries go, the Motorola Edge has a 5000 milliamp hour battery with fast charging at 30 watts, fast wireless charging, and reverse charging at 5 watts on the Motorola Edge. So that's fantastic. You get a lot of different options with the Motorola Edge. And as far as the LG Velvet goes, you get a 4300 milliamp hour battery, fast charging at 25 watts, fast wireless charging at 9 watts. And as far as colors go, so the Motorola Edge will only come in one color, and that is the gray color, while the LG Velvet can be found in Aurora White, Aurora Green, Gray, Illusion Sunset, Red, and Pink, and this is the gray version. So both fantastic, pretty much depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something cheap and reliable, the Velvet is still a fantastic device. You could probably be found for a little over $200 for the Velvet, while the Motorola Edge can be found roughly around $499, $450, and still fantastic devices. And yeah, here you go with the comparison on both of these devices. Again, I just provide the specs for you guys. That way you guys can determine which one you might want to pick up. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't give it a thumbs down, that is quite alright. And I will see you next time. Peace.